Hello, everyone, and welcome to this open house for climate change learning for action at Terra.do. My name is Greg Findley. I'm the director of the program, and I'm here. I've got a couple of alumnus of the program. We have Claire and Amarja. Thanks for joining us to talk about your experiences. And I am going to do a little screen share. Hopefully you can all see my screen there. This is our open house. And actually, before I jump into the slides, I just want to say what we're going to do. I'm going to give a little presentation about the program. I will often refer to LFA, and that is the Learning for Action program. That's just short for Learning for Action. So if you hear LFA, please don't be confused. I will invite you. I see some of you have your cameras on. Thank you. If you are able, please put your cameras on. We love to see who we're talking to. One of the big things that we do at Terra.do is create community, and we do that better if we see each other. I also understand some of you aren't expecting that and may not be comfortable. That's absolutely fine as well. So I'm going to give a quick presentation, run through the course a little bit. Then we're going to hear from our alums about their experiences, and we are open for questions. If you have questions while I'm talking, please feel free to put them in the chat. I'll just call out that I'm not very good at tracking the chat while I'm speaking and presenting, so I may not see them until later. We will get to them, and then it's also possible you can just raise your hand and we can just talk at the end as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Terra.do itself. Terra.do was founded in 2020. We have a mission to get 100 million people working on climate change solutions and adaptation by 2030, and that is an incredibly ambitious goal. And the reason it's so ambitious is that it's a really big problem that we are dealing with, and so we need to think big to solve this. Terra.do has three main pillars of what we do. We have learning. We have courses like this Learning for Action program, which is our flagship course, a 12-week course. We also have shorter, more specific courses. Happy to talk more about those. We also have a very strong community of people online, people who have gone through our courses or are climate experts working in climate. Community is a big part of what we do, and all of this is a focus on what here says do, it's action. And notice that the name of our company and the name of our website is Terra.do, not Terra.edu. So although we do a number of courses, we really believe that it's not just education, it's leading to action. That is the goal. We all need to get people acting on climate. So this course itself, Climate Change Learning for Action, is a 12-week interdisciplinary climate action accelerator. And call it a climate action accelerator because the goal is in 12 weeks, you will get pretty far along in understanding climate and figuring out your role and what you want to do about it. We have run 29 cohorts. Cohort is our name for a group of people starting the program together. So it's cohort-based learning. Groups of people start the program and go through it together. We've had people from more than 86 different countries come through the program, and a pretty average cohort is around 100 to 150 people, and we have people from 20 to 30 different countries at one time going through the course. We have over 3,400 graduates of the program, and it's been ongoing since 2020. It's a mix of asynchronous and interactive learning, and I'm going to talk a lot more about that in just a little bit, so I won't spend too much time on that. But a couple of things, it does require some time. You get out of it what you put into it. And if you don't have 6 hours a week at a minimum to spend on the course, it might not be a good time for you. It might not be the right thing. The average, around 80% of our fellows spend 6 to 10 hours a week on the course, according to what they tell us. I had an alum recently say she spent 30 hours a week on the course, but she was unemployed and she was really enjoying it. She dug into it pretty deeply. That's pretty rare, but there is a lot. You could actually spend more time than that if you wanted to. So I just want to name that. And you get lifetime access to the course materials themselves and to all the recordings of live events. So you can return to those over and over. And the course materials get updated every few months. So what is LFA? It's this transformational journey that accelerates climate action. We have three main pillars that we do, and you'll notice these are the same as the three main pillars of Terra.do. We believe in climate literacy. You need climate literacy to really effectively work on climate. You can't solve a problem that you don't really understand. That's one of our big base theories here. So we spend a lot of time on that. And I'll talk more about what we learn in just a little bit. We also spend a great deal of time on community. And part of this is none of us can solve climate change alone. It takes all of us working together, each doing our own piece. There's another piece of this as well. I live in Wyoming. I was a fellow in this program. Where I live, there aren't a lot of people for me to talk climate with. And so finding people online, finding a community online of people all over the world who care really meant a lot to me. And we find it means a lot to a lot of people. We had a keynote speaker recently who said, broken people can't fix broken things. And so it's important to have a community and to spend time taking care of ourselves. And we do that in this community building and emotional resilience. And then the third part is personal pathfinding. And we spend a fair bit of time, and this is figuring out how to go and do. And that's looking at your own personal skills, background, interests, education, and finding where you fit in to working on climate, finding the parts that work best for you. Now, we're not going to guarantee you're going to get all of these things figured out in 12 weeks, but you're going to get pretty far along the path. And that's one of our goals. So I said I'd talk about what we learn in the course. This is a slide that we use now as we launch the program, and we use this in labs. And it's a roller coaster, and it's got 12 circles on it. Those 12 circles are the 12 weeks of the course, and really they're intended to be the 12 lab sessions. And it's on a roller coaster because we're going to look at the natural systems, we're going to look at climate science, carbon emissions, global and local impacts. And even for those who spend a lot of time thinking and reading about climate change, it can be a little bit dark to look really deeply at the honest truth of where we are and where we're heading if we don't change. And so often we find that people emotionally are kind of going down at that point. And we name this so that you don't feel alone, that there's something wrong with you if you experience that. But pretty quickly, we're going to start going back up. We then get into the human systems. We look at mental models. We look at economics, politics, et cetera, to see how did we get where we are? And what systems are we working within as we look at our solutions going forward? We bring a climate justice lens to this problem and to everything that we do going forward. And then we like to do systems thinking, where we're looking at how things are intertwined and interconnected. And then we take those lenses and we start to dig into the solutions to climate change. And we spend the second half of the course working on all of those. At the end of the course, I talked about the roller coaster and it's kind of down. We always poll people, how are you feeling? This is a word cloud from a recent graduating cohort. And notice the biggest things that they felt were motivated, hopeful, determined, energized, informed, ready, inspired, more clear, excited, etc. So we just want to call out, we're not going to leave you in a bad place. That's not our goal. Our goal is to get everyone motivated to go for action, and it tends to work. LFA graduates go on to become incredible climate leaders. They get great jobs. They make incredible employees because they have looked at all aspects of the climate crisis. They have thought of systems thinking. They've looked at it with justice. They go on to start impactful companies. They lead their companies to doing really meaningful climate action. We've got people working on policy. We've got people their only goal is to influence their friends and family. They're doing that. We've got people doing all sorts of things, but people become climate leaders. And the same keynote speaker I talked about, who said broken people can't fix broken things, she likes to talk about being a climate person, and she views herself as that. And I think people at the end of our program are kind of climate people. And what does that mean? That means you're kind of bringing a climate lens to everything you do and every problem you look at. You're thinking about, how can I view this solving climate and whatever other problems there are in the world? Interestingly, a lot of people come and they want to get a climate job. I just recently did a talk for European Climate Careers Week, and it was titled How to Get a Climate Job. And what I really said was, what you need climate literacy. You need to understand the problem to understand the solutions. You need a climate community or network. I saw a job on LinkedIn recently, and it had 1,500 people that applied to this one great looking climate job. You're not going to get that job if you don't know people who can help get your resume or CV in front of the decision makers. The community matters, and our community is connected all over. And then the final thing is, you need to understand your skills and interests. Notice that those three things are what we focus on in LFA. So it helps you get a job, but it also helps you take climate action in so many other ways. We also do some specific things for job seekers. We do a number of sessions on career and networking. We have intro to climate careers. We do resume workshops, LinkedIn workshops. We have career coaches come in and offer office hours. We do cross cohort networking, which are sort of structured networking events. We do sessions on launching your career in corporate sustainability for those people who want to do that. We have someone from Climate People come in and talk about the hidden job market. And then we have an experts mentorship program where you can connect with mentors, which is really, really helpful. We have this community of over 5,000 people on our Slack channels. And we have asks and offers channels where people will say, hey, I am looking at a job at Microsoft in sustainability. Does anybody know anyone there? And people will pipe up and say, yes, happy to talk to you, happy to help you with a connection. And then we also have a job board, one of the largest climate jobs boards that's out there. People have asked what are the results for people wanting a job. So it's hard for us to know exactly what happens to people because people come through our program and then they go get a job and we don't always know. So we did a little study ourselves, ended in 2023, and we looked at over 2,000 people that had taken part in the LFA across 58 countries, and we found that half of the graduates at the time of our analysis were working in full-time climate roles. We saw 30% of people who wanted to transition to climate work had a climate job at 6 months after graduation and 65% after 18 months. Now, a couple of things. We don't screen applicants based on employability. So not everyone who's coming through our program is ready to go get a climate job. Not everyone wants a climate job. A lot of people are in different stages looking at different things. But I just thought I'd share that. We have 55 organizations. I actually think that number has gone up, who've hired more than one LFA graduate. And those organizations, some of them have told me they are actively seeking LFA graduates when they have open roles. And here's a few of the companies that our alums have gone on to work for. And then we have fellows who started over 80 different climate companies. They've met founders or got knowledge to help them go and found a company. I want to talk really quickly, what's it like to go through this program? What's it like to be in the course? People often tell me it's like drinking from a fire hose going through LFA. And I tend to think of it as an all-you-can-eat buffet where we put a lot of stuff out there, but most of it is not the main course and not the part you should focus on. If you try to eat everything, you probably can't and you won't feel that good anyway. So focus on the parts that really get you somewhere. Items in green are required to get a course completion certificate. So we release classes every week. We release them in batches by topic. So all the energy classes release at one time. And that's so that everyone ideally is reading the same stuff. And then we'll talk about energy in labs, and we'll have an energy guest talk, and we'll do an energy deep dive. So those are required if you want a course completion certificate. The other things that are required, Tuesdays, we have lab sessions. These are live sessions, 90-minute sessions. These are at various times. You get to choose the time that works best for you out of a list of times available. Those are about 25 different people from all over the world. And those are really one of the special parts of this program, coming together with other folks to talk about climate and to dig into the content and to look at how we can all make a difference. On Wednesdays, we have guest talks. Those are generally at 8 o'clock Pacific time in the morning, sometimes at 7 p.m. Pacific time, sometimes at other times. These are recorded. If you can't attend live, you can watch the recording and it counts as if you attended. Those are the three main things. The next slide also has the fourth component that's required, which are assignments. I'll talk about that in a moment. But on Mondays, we do coffee chats where the founders come in and talk. I have coffee chats to hear how it's going and to offer advice for people in the course. We do our career sessions on Mondays. On Thursdays, we do deep dives, also optional, and that's where we go deeper than the course materials for those who want to learn more than we do in the course materials. Fridays, we do cohort connections, co-working on assignments, and things like that. All of those are optional. And this is where it can feel like drinking from a fire hose. Also, the class materials, we put our sources, we put links to the sources throughout our class materials. And it's pretty common for people to click those links and to by the end of a class to have 50 tabs open. And I call that out because if you want to go deeper, you're welcome to read the source material, but you do not need to. And for those who just want to get through the course, I actually encourage you not to read all of those links because you can spend a lot of time going down rabbit holes. And so those are there, and you can always come back and look at those later. You're welcome to go through them during the course, but it's certainly not required. The assignments, 5 of them, we have 5 required assignments. 3 of them are individual, 2 of them are in teams. One thing to call out, this is adult learning. And if an assignment ever doesn't work for someone if you take the course and it really doesn't work for you, just let us know. We're happy to work with you to make it be helpful for you. Generally, we don't find that to be a problem. People find the assignments quite helpful. The 2 team assignments, one of them is learning about climate in other people's context in other parts of the world. And then the second one is a very short research brief. So let's say you're really interested in building decarbonization, or you're interested in fashion and decarbonizing fashion, and we didn't go very deep on that into the course material. You do a quick research project and then present to the class on that as a team. The other 3, the 3 individual assignments, are really geared to helping you find your role in working on climate. The first one is this dreamer assignment where we think it's 2040 and we solve climate change. What would the world look like? What would your context look like? And what would you have done to help that happen? We do this not because we want you to do a bunch of research, but because it's really hard to get somewhere if you can't imagine what it looks like when you get there. So it's just really to think about what would we like to see in the world and what role do we think we want? And then the final assignment is your climate action plan. We ask you to come back and revisit assignment 1. Is that really what you want to do going forward to help us on this problem, or would it be very different? And again, it's designed to be really useful for you. We do have, if you're interested, you can go to our website at Terra.do. You can view a free class. Right now we have the carbon dioxide removal class on there. You can go through that, see what a class is like. You can find that again on the Terra.do website. And then our next cohort is coming up. We generally launch one every 6 weeks, although we're going to take a winter break December 20th to January 6th, so there will be a little extra 2 weeks. Our next cohort launches on January 27th. The application deadline is January 17th. We offer scholarships, so the pricing can be lower if scholarships are on a need base. If it's too expensive and you can't go through the program, please let us know, and we will do our best to meet you where you are to help you do this. We also allow people to pay in 3 installments. And then my favorite part is the 3-week no questions asked refunds. The reason I say it's my favorite part, I was thinking about being a fellow myself. I'd been working on climate for a while, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if it really offers value. And my wife was like, just do it. You can always drop out after 3 weeks if you don't like it. And so, like, okay, I did it. And I found out I really liked it, and I didn't drop out. Became a fellow, and here I am working here 4 years later. So I guess I like it. And then we always kick off our cohorts with a keynote. We don't have our next keynote arranged yet, but we just had a keynote on December 4th, and it was Dr. Fidel Kaboub, who's based in Kenya at the moment, and he works on Global South perspectives and Global South finance in relating to climate. It was a very fascinating keynote, and I am going to stop sharing and stop talking, and I'm going to pass it over to our alums. And Claire, you're on my screen next, so I'm just going to pass to you if you don't mind sharing your story a bit.
Sure, thank you. Hi, everyone. So I'm originally from Canada. I live in San Francisco, and I did the LFA program last fall, so last September, October, November. And I'm currently working as a director of product at GoodLeap, which is a company that provides financing and technology solutions to help homeowners make their homes more sustainable. And previously, I had a background in both finance and technology for social good. So I was more in the nonprofit space. I worked at a nonprofit called Kiva, doing microfinance for small businesses and low-income entrepreneurs around the world. And most recently, I was at Salesforce building products for nonprofits. So I was taking a career break in 2023 and reflecting on what I wanted to do next, and realized that that the climate space was where my passion lay. I had always been really interested in doing something that felt mission driven, and I was really, really interested in devoting my career to trying to solve the climate crisis. And but I wasn't really sure how to get into the space. I knew I wanted to, but I didn't know what would be the most impactful. I didn't really feel like I had a solid base of knowledge. And so a friend of mine was doing the LFA program and let me know about it. And I looked into it, and I thought that would tick the box for me to both learn about the climate change or to learn about the climate space, but also add some credibility to my resume to show that I'm invested in this area and try to set myself apart from other candidates. And so during the program, I did it while I was applying for jobs, and I found that in addition to giving me the good base of understanding that I was looking for, the content also helped me kind of understand the viability and the risk of some of the jobs that I was applying to, in a way that I didn't really have that fundamental knowledge previously. But it also helped me to identify the right types of questions to be asking during the interview process, and gave me a better base of understanding to be able to weave into my applications. And then after the program, I found that it did set me apart while I was applying. One of the pieces of feedback that I got from another alum, he said, there's so many people applying for jobs in this space right now, and this really helped him, and I found it helped me as well to show, rather than saying I'm interested in the climate space, it helped to show I have actually taken tangible steps to grow my learning in that area. And I found there was also a really engaged alumni network, where people who were working in the space, they saw that that I had done the LFA program and were willing to chat. And so that helped me as well when I was networking and trying to chat to people to understand what jobs were out there. So that was my experience. Happy to answer any questions, but just wanted to share how it all played out.
Thanks, Claire. Thanks a lot. Let's hear from Amarja.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amarja. I live in Bangalore in India, and I am a communications and a marketing professional. I specialize in copywriting and content strategy for the digital media. I am a alum from the condos cohort of LFA. I graduated in 2023 in September. And currently, I'm working with a renewables company in India. It's called Safe Earth Renewables. I head the marketing for them. So my journey into climate happened quite accidentally. Prior to working in climate, I was a freelancer for almost 9 years, owing to a mom break. So it was in one of those freelance projects I chanced upon sustainability as a space of work, which piqued my interest, and I use a lot of free resources to learn, but then I realized I need a structured program to help me understand different aspects of climate and the science behind it and the impact of it and the opportunities in it. Because building a career out of passion is one thing, but building a career that is relevant was super important for me. It was a chance LinkedIn post that led me to Terra, and when I first went on the website, I wasn't too sure that it is the right program for me. So I use pretty much the same logic of, if I don't like it, I can quit it in 3 weeks. That's how I joined. But I was really, really taken by the genuineness of the program and the community aspect of it. So I continued with it. And what I learned in the program was really insightful in the sense of giving me a basic foundation of understanding this whole space, understanding the different verticals in it, giving me a climate lens to understand everyday activities and how they impact the society at large, both the macro and the micro picture. So post the LFA, what really helped me stay on with my focus of finding a path in career was the community, the connections I built during my LFA workshop, and and the confidence it instilled in me to be able to look for a transitioning role. It wasn't easy to find a job immediately. It took me almost 9 months to land my job where I am at. But a large part of the credit also goes to Terra's job board, because that's where I first found it. Followed by figuring out networks and connections. And it was one of the alums from a previous cohort who finally connected me to the founder of this company. And apart from that, some of us, me and some of women from other cohorts of Terra also got in touch with each other through the communities, and we've now formed an exclusive community for women in India to be an active workforce. And we've done a very good research project about women's roles in the Indian climate space. So, in so many ways, in the last 9 months, if my career has shaped up and become a solid path, it's thanks to Terra and the way the program was structured. So, for anybody who wants to consider climate as a career option, I would definitely recommend Terra. And that's pretty much about me. If you have any questions, I'm willing to take.
Thanks, Beth. And I just noticed Libby. Hi, Libby. Libby's son, Dan, is one of our great content writers here at Terra.do. Am I correct that you are Dan's mother? Yes. And Libby, we also have, he mentioned that you might be taking LFA. We also have a number of retired folks who've gone through the program, and they are looking at becoming more involved. We have folks with Elders Climate Action. There's a group called Third Act and other programs, and a number of folks working in various ways. So we've talked a lot about jobs, but this is not just about getting people jobs working on climate. It's about helping people become active on climate. Are there any questions we can answer? And I apologize to everyone. I've had a frantic, it's morning for me. I've had a frantic morning and I barely got here in time to start. So I wasn't really very prepared, and I'll calm down. So apologies to everyone for that. Yes.
May I say a word?
Yes.
Am I, well, yes, I'm Dan's mom, but I'm also a member of an Episcopal church here in Huntsville, Alabama. And we have a committee called the Creation Care Committee. And we just mostly spin our wheels because we don't know very much. So I'm trying to know more. There are a lot of people at church, not only mine, but other churches around town, who are becoming aware that churches have a pretty big imprint. And so footprint, I suppose, is what I mean to say. And so, yes, that's why I'm trying to. My worry is that I won't be able to find a community book club, probably not, church, probably not. So I'm kind of worried about the assignments that involve a group assignment. But anyway, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, and we'll put you into groups, so it'll be groups of other fellows here at Terra. And I think you'll find them pretty interesting to connect with all the fellows. And you said your group doesn't know that much. I've been a volunteer working with a number of organizations. I work with paid staffers working on climate, and I often wish that they would take LFA, because what they know is the one little piece that they work on. They kind of know this really deep, but they don't always see the interconnections, the systems at play that they're affecting with various decisions. So I think a lot of people could stand to get a little bit more knowledge and would become much more effective with more knowledge. So what you've described really seems, I think it's important and great to see you here. Yeah, Amy.
Hi there. I have a couple of questions. The first one is, and you might have already mentioned this, is there a smaller breakout within the cohort of 100 to 150 people throughout the week? I'm wondering how that smaller community is cultivated.
Yes, great question. And so, yeah, so let's say we have 150 fellows. We have labs that meet every week on Tuesday, although depending where you are in the world, a Tuesday evening Pacific time might be Wednesday morning in India or in other parts of the world. And those are groups of around 20 to 25 people that meet with an expert instructor every week for 90 minutes. And we do spend a fair bit of time trying to cultivate community there. We put people into small breakouts during those. Just part of it is to get to know each other, but to talk about what's going on in their own context. And then we do other sessions. The cohort connections is what we call them, that take place on Fridays, and you come together in smaller groups and get to know each other. So we do spend a fair bit of time building community. Either of you want to respond on the lab aspect or community aspect? Claire or Margie?
Yeah, I think because I definitely felt like more personally engaged in the labs where there was a lot of opportunity for jumping in and asking questions and presenting things together. And so I found that because we were in the lab and I would share something personal like, oh, I worked in Kenya for whatever. And people would reach out to me afterwards and say, oh, I'm looking to do something similar. And so it was kind of a nice way to make those connections in a way that was a little bit easier than in the larger cohort group.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome to hear. I'm also wondering, in terms of narrowing in on specific interests, is there a structure for alumni to find their kind of niche with other people that have also done the program?
Yeah. Yeah, so in post my cohort, what I noticed is in India, especially, there are a lot of active WhatsApp groups by region and also by areas of interest. So that helped me a lot. And even the Slack community on Terra is broken down with specialization. So that also helps a lot. And what I've noticed is in all the communities around Terra, there's a lot of active conversation around the current topics. So it really helps understand what's happening in that space also.
Okay, thank you.
Amelia, is that right? Did I get the name right?
Hi, yeah, Aniela.
Anila, thanks.
Hi, this has been an informative session. Thank you. I'm curious to find out. I'm based originally from Germany, but I'm based in Cape Town, South Africa. I've lived here now for 27 years, and I'd be interested to find out how many fellows you have from Southern Africa. I mean, my work over the past 20 years has been very much concentrated in on South Africa. And I'm particularly interested also looking for a climate job, but how does it then compare with also the corporates that you have as partners on your website? And also I'm an independent consultant. So what is your experience with independent consultants that have gone through the workshop? I'd be also interested to find out. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Well, just to give a little breakdown of people who've come through our program, around 55% are in the US, around 17% have been in India, and then around 7 or 8% have been in the UK. We do have a number from Europe, and then that only leaves 15, 20% from other parts of the world. Right now, we have a current cohort, and I think we have 6 fellows from Africa, including at least 1 in South Africa at the moment. So we get a few, but not as many. Kind of interesting, though, I saw that Jen said that Jen lives in Africa, in Kenya part of the year. I used to live in Zambia. Claire, sounds like you were in Kenya. So we have people, who with experience all over. As far as the number of job connections in South Africa or elsewhere, we probably have fewer of those than other parts of the world, but growing. I'm seeing the Africa numbers go up every cohort. Like it wasn't that long ago that we had our first fellow from Africa, and now we have 6, including some from South Africa. As far as, and happy to go more and hear what others have to say about that. Also, as far as independent consultants, we have a lot of people either already working as consultants who come through the program who see that as their path forward. What they want to do next is be a consultant. And so that is a fairly common pathway for folks who come through our program. What does fairly common mean? 10% of people, 20? I don't know, somewhere in there. It's way larger than 1 or 2% of people who go through the program though. And they tend to have pretty good success going forward, depending on exactly what they want to do and what their past is. I mean, that's where it gets kind of great. Everyone's different. Everyone's background is different. Their connections, experiences are all different. So there's a little bit on that. Hopefully that answers at least some of what you were asking.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah. Did you, Claire or Marta, did you connect with fellows from Africa, South Africa in particular, and any thoughts on the consulting bit?
I don't have much to offer. I have no experience there. Thank you.
And I remember someone in my lab was from Kenya, so we connected about that, but I can't remember in the larger cohort.
Yeah. But we are getting more and more people from Africa, and we would actually love to expand that. I'll just name a couple of places that we actually want to get a bigger reach, or Latin America and Africa are two of the big ones. And so we're trying to figure out ways to expand there. Latin America is interesting because we really need a Spanish language version of the course, and it's just a big lift. So we're trying to figure out, we have some fellows from Latin America who are trying to help us get that going, and it's just it's a lot to translate everything, make sure it's accurate, make sure all the lab leaders can speak Spanish fluently and understand the content, etc. But yeah, we want to spread. More questions, or did we not answer something fully? Yeah, Amy.
I'm curious about the I think you mentioned that there is a research something that we bring as individuals to the cohort. If you could speak more on that, and I'm wondering if that is like a capstone project or a personal research project, or if that's more the personal action plan that you previously mentioned.
Yeah, so this is assignment 4. It's a team assignment. So we put people into teams to work on this. And they're not crazy in depth just because everyone's busy. You know, no one has 100 hours to put into the research project. And yet people have used these, so they present to the lab, not to the entire cohort, so to the group of around 25. And we have had people use these as sort of a capstone project. I've seen them put on resumes, CVs that, did a research project on distributed energy resources, kind of, whatever it is that they wanted to do. And people have found that can help them if they're trying to transition to a new area. It has been useful. How about either you want to comment on that experience of that assignment or anything you saw, Marja or Claire?
Yeah, so there were a total of 6 assignments in the cohort, and 3 were individual and 3 were in a team setup. More than the takeaway, the assignments really help understand the diversity of the same problem, like what energy as a problem area in India means is not the same elsewhere in the world. And getting that perspective also helped me broaden my own understanding, which later on helped me in the way I'm doing my job as well. So, like Greg said, they're not mighty detail oriented in that sense, but it really boils down to the person taking the assignment as to what they want to give to it. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. People often say it's one of their favorite assignments and their favorite labs when all the groups present and then ask questions of each other. And then we take all of the assignments. You only get a few minutes. You only get about 5 or 7 minutes to present, so you can't go very deep in the lab. But then we have everyone take their presentation materials and put them into a shared document that everyone gets these solutions documents that they can take away and use as a resource at the end of the course.
Okay, great.
Other questions? Things we can help you with? An interesting piece. Actually, none of us, 3 of us on here are alums, and I didn't hear anyone mention your cohort animal. And what I'm bringing up is we name every one of our cohorts for an endangered or threatened animal species.
Yeah, I mentioned that I'm from condors.
Okay, condor. Sorry if I missed that. Yeah, apologies. And I bring it up because it's kind of fun. Whenever you meet people from Terra, they're always like, "Oh, I was a panda, I was a condor, I was a tiger," whatever. It's like it becomes part of who we are. Our next cohort is going to be, it's a P cohort. It's the pangolins. And we can ask Omarja maybe to tell us more about that because it's a animal from India in that part of the world. I don't want to put you on the spot. You don't have to go there. But it's kind of fun. And we started, for some reason, the first cohort was the monarchs because there was a monarch butterfly hatch going on. And so they just said, oh, let's call this group the monarchs. And then it became, well, let's name every cohort after an animal species, and started and went alphabetically. So we did monarchs, and then we did the narwhals and the orcas and the pandas. And we've now gone all the way around the alphabet, and the manatees just graduated. We have the nautilus halfway through their course, the okapis, which is a Central African forest giraffe, is going now. They just launched in early December, and then the pangolins will be our next cohort. And I don't know what we're doing for the cues yet. We'll come up with that name soon. We do launch a cohort about every 6 weeks. And I say about because like we take a 2-week break for the holidays. So that puts our schedule off a little bit. Yeah.
Greg, I have another question, and that is, what if it turns out that I really sort of suck at this? Can I just sort of, I mean, can I just sort of be the poor member of the group? Will they forgive me?
So a couple things. First, I doubt you would suck at it, but yes, you can do whatever you want. So we have some people who are super busy or overwhelmed or whatever, and they're like, look, I can't even participate in the team assignments, and I'm not sure I want to speak during labs. That's okay. That works. It's absolutely fine. This is for you to get out of it whatever you want to get out of it. And, the more you put in, the more you get out. But some people don't have time or energy. Or my own mom looked at doing this and she's like, I don't think I could figure out the technology, so I'm not going to do it. I was like, I think we can help you figure out the technology. But she actually can't use her cell phone, so she might be right.
I can relate.
But yeah, and what I find too is that we have people with varied backgrounds and experiences, really varied. We have people who are young, like still in universities, colleges. We have people who are retired, who have had incredible careers, but sometimes in really different things. And every single person has something to offer to the program. There's something really, everyone's perspective is unique, different, valuable, and offers something to help everybody else out. Really would encourage you, don't worry so much that you're going to fail or not be good at it. Instead, you will be warmly accepted and appreciated and would have things to offer. Yeah, Amarja.
I just wanted to share with Libby that we had a member in our cohort, and especially in my own subgroup, who got busy 2 weeks into the program, and she could not be part of a lot of the discussions. So she discontinued from the subgroup, but she continued learning at her own pace. I'm still in touch with her. So she's really didn't bother about the certification or anything like that, but she has told me that it has helped her tremendously, and she still keeps referring back to some of the stuff on the learning material because it helps her do what she's doing, and she works in the nonprofit sector here in India. So yeah, I just wanted to share that instance.
And that's a really great point, because Libby, what you'll find and others have found as well is that you go through the class material, and whether you participated in labs or did other things, and then something will come up. You'll be at your church group talking about something, and someone will ask a question and go, wow, what about this? And what people tell me all the time, and I've done this myself, is I don't know the answer to that, but I know that it was in the course material. And then you go back because you have access forever. And then you might go, oh, there's actually a link to an article that goes even deeper into that. And suddenly then you go back to your group and like, I have an answer for you. Here it is, because you have access to that course material forever. Yeah. Did you want to add more, Amarja, there?
No,
Sorry.
that's about it. In fact, I do the same too. When I first started looking at the role that I currently have accepted, it was all about energy, and I wanted to be sure I'm in the right place. So I went back to the energy module, refreshed everything, and then I was like, okay, I'm now sorted.
Yeah. An interesting one too, and I think Amy, you asked about, figuring out your role and do alums. I had an alum come to do one of these open houses, and she said she started the program. She was quite sure she was going to work in renewable energy. That's what she signed up for LFA, to work in renewable energy. And she got to about week 7 where we get into energy, and she's like, I don't want to work on energy. And the next week was food and farming and agriculture. And she's like, this is what moves me. This is what I want to do. And crazily, she got a job during the cohort working on food in sustainable agriculture some way. I don't recall exactly what her job was, but it's kind of fun. You know, it's also a great thing about our approach by doing a survey of all the aspects of climate, looking into all sorts of things, including the economics, the politics. It really opens up your eyes that there are so many different ways to work on this problem. And one of our biggest takeaways is there is no single solution to the climate crisis. If there were, boy, it would sure be nice. It would be easy. But the great thing about there not being one single solution is there are millions of small solutions that we need. And that means there's roles for all of us working on this some way, some shape, somehow to make a difference. And again, this is where community really matters. Liam, the first director of this program, and I used to talk and it was like, I feel the weight of the world on my shoulders. I have to save us somehow. But when you start to realize that, no, I've got a Marja working on her part, and Claire's doing her part, and all these people are doing something, suddenly all I have to do is my piece, right? The weight of the world is not on my shoulders anymore. I do my piece knowing that others are doing their pieces, and that's how we get somewhere. And for me, that was incredibly liberating and freeing. Like, oh my gosh, I don't have to do everything. It's okay. And I can actually have fun. I can go enjoy my family and nature and all the things that I really like, which is one of the things we stress too. You know, yes, we're dealing with a big problem, but again, broken people can't fix broken things. We have to find the joy in this world, and community is a big part of that. Knowing you're not alone and connecting with others. Yeah. Anything else? Thoughts, questions? Anything holding you back from signing up? Things that you're like, I don't know if this is right for me. And Amy, you had a question, looks like. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm curious about if you have many artists come through the program. I know that there's a module on communication. I'm wondering if you touch specifically on the role of arts in translating that information.
We do a little bit. Interestingly, we've had a number of artists come through the program, and there's an organization in the UK called Climarts, which is it's focused on climate arts. And it was one of the two founders was an LFA fellow. I happen to be her instructor, so I worked with her really carefully and talked to her a lot about setting up this organization. But we've had a number of artists come through the program. One of the big things that I think people get, we have a lot of communications folks too, and they're like, oh, I have to be an engineer or a scientist to work on climate. And absolutely not. We need ways to connect with people, to make them feel, to connect emotionally. And that's where writing, that's where art really comes in. And
Right.
art can play a big role, you know, as a private artist. But if you're an illustrator or a graphic designer, there's so much work that can be done, right? All these organizations need to be able to tell their stories.
Mhm.
And art itself can be incredibly moving and one of the most impactful ways to make a difference. And we have a lot of people. When I was a fellow, we had an artist, an active artist, go through the program, and she stayed, Isabel Davis. She stayed involved with Terra over the years and working with artists.
Okay.
And it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh,
It's pretty
wonderful.
cool.
I'm glad to
Yeah.
hear that.
I was
Amy.
just gonna,
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to catch
I
up.
was just gonna add, not necessarily specific to art, but I remember there being a variety of people. Like one of the things that I enjoyed was there were a lot of people from many, many different types of fields. And I remember having a conversation with someone in the program who was a pastry chef. And at the start, she thought, like, I don't know how I'm going to contribute. I don't know how to translate what I'm doing to the work that we're learning here. And then it became clear to her over the course of the program. And at the end, I think she ended up focusing on sort of how she can how she can make financial decisions, and bank with banks that are not contributing to the climate problem and things like that. And so I thought it was an interesting example of just where everyone can kind of find their own, like you find your own angle through the program. And so it's not necessarily like, oh, it's only going to be people who are very specifically business minded or anything like that. The program can kind of guide you to thinking through how your unique skill set can contribute.
Okay. Thank you.
Just to add to what Claire said, I know of a past cohort member based out of Bangalore. She is a person who rents out steel cutlery, like a steel cutlery bank. That's what she runs. And she's part of the LFA and she learned a lot about it. And she uses all of that information in educating her customers. So she's a homemaker who turned to this business like a hobby. and she joined the LFA program. And so just to add to Claire that, that the kind of profile you find can be quite eye-opening.
Greg, the worry that I have is that I go to a church that is basically very sort of divisive in terms of liberals and conservatives. And I would like to find a way to have this conversation being neither. So I'm hoping that somehow in the communication cohort, we can find a way, or you'll help me find a way, not to come across as red or blue or pink or green or yellow or whatever, but just to be able to express basically reality without offending.
Yeah.
Without
Yeah,
offending
yeah.
anyone.
Yeah, this is a very important point, Libby. And in fact, a good amount of the communications module is around Catherine Hayhoe's
Yeah, yeah,
philosophy of work.
yeah.
And one thing I really like about that module, because I'm a communications professional myself, and I was really keen to understand that aspect, is she talks about different ways of communicating about climate. And one of the most important things that I loved is talking about it from the perspective of the listener, and not about how you perceive it, but from the perspective of the listener, putting yourself in their shoes and using the words that they relate to. And there's an entire module on that, and I love the support and reference material given in that. So I don't think you'll find anything to worry about there.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry, Amrata, can you just mention the name again from the lady that?
Catherine Hayhoe. Should I just put it in the chat? Maybe
That would
that'll
be
help.
smart. Thank you.
Yeah. Catherine Hayhoe is a climate scientist at Texas Tech University, I think. So she's and she's married to an evangelical pastor. She's a very conservative Christian faith background. And as she says, the climate doesn't care if you're red or blue. And what she talks about is she stresses finding things that people care about, and then there are ways to weave in climate into that. Like if you're a gardener, you might care about rainfall, and you
Yeah.
can start to talk about, well, boy, I've noticed that she says that where she lives, the rainfall numbers for the year haven't changed. They get 20 inches a year, or whatever the number is. But what has changed is the pattern. So she says we have 364 days of drought a year, and then we get 20 inches of rain in a day. Well, that's, so if you just look at the numbers, it's the same, but that's very different than getting rain throughout the year, because now we're drought and then flood. And so that opens up doors to talk to people in a non-confrontational way about what they care about, right? You care about the weather, you care about farming, you care about growing your garden, you care about your recreation, whatever it is, find what people care about. Catherine came and gave a keynote for us as well. She was one of our keynote speakers, and we have that recording. We share that with folks. She's fantastic. And Dan does a great job writing up her work, by the way, in the communications module. And she's actually really open. Catherine's really open too. I've gotten to meet her and spend a little bit of time with her, and she's open to people writing her and asking her questions, which is pretty cool. Yeah, good question. I'm having to miss. So we do record things. The one thing we do ask is that you try to get to at least 75% of the lab sessions live. You can make up things that you miss, guest talks. If you can't attend a single guest talk live, that's fine. Watch the recordings. And we have a system that tracks that you watch the recording, and so you get credit for having attended the session. The labs are different because there's so much talking with each other that we really encourage people to come to those, to try to make it to those. And we do ask, if you can't make it, we understand people are going to miss. Sometimes people have to go on work travel for 2 weeks, or go on a family holiday for a couple of weeks, or whatever it is, and you're going to miss. That's fine. We'll work with you on that to make sure you don't fall too far behind, to help you get recordings to watch what you missed. And we're not going to penalize you for life. Life happens. It's okay. Yeah, and our goal is not to keep people from getting these certificates. Our goal is to get people motivated to work on climate. That's ultimately what we want. And we want you to join us because we want more people working on climate. We want to make it as easy as possible to get through the course and to get to learn, to connect, to do all of these things, because the more people working on climate, the better the future is for all of us. Yeah. So really don't stress on that. A couple of things. We do have a mobile app. You can access the course materials on an iPad or a phone. You can watch our guest talks from those as well. You can participate from a remote device. The one thing that we don't have at the moment, though, I do want to call out is we don't have offline access to the courses. And so you can't watch, like there are videos in those, and people are often like, and we don't have full audio either. So people often say, boy, I sure wish I could do the course while I'm walking my dog. And that's not available. I'm sorry, we don't have that technology figured out at the moment and put it in place. But what you can do is download a class to your laptop or your phone, and you can go and you can read it offline that way. You just can't click on a video and make it work necessarily.
Greg, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Can I suggest to someone who may or may not be interested in this course that they come to the next open house? I mean, is there a way to just watch the open house and not follow through with the commitment?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'd encourage folks to do that.
Yeah.
Happy to have conversations. Our keynotes are actually open to the general public as well. So we often invite people, bring a friend, come to the keynote, and then we can have a conversation about it later. The keynotes are not always for people who are not interested in climate, though, because sometimes they're very specific to some topic. Catherine Hayhoe's was really fantastic. I think it was really for anybody, but not all of them are that way, if that makes any sense. Like some of them, I don't know if the average person on the street might appreciate them, where people who care about climate will appreciate them very much. Yeah. No, please invite people. We want to get as many people coming to these open houses. We want, again, I would love to encourage people, sign up for the course and do the first couple of weeks and see what you think. And then you can decide. Thank you so much. Yeah. And also, Amarja and Claire both have a 20% off code that they can share. I think it'll get shared in the email that comes to you after this session. So you can get 20% off the course there. If a scholarship is important to you and 20% isn't enough, that's okay too. Put in the application for the course is actually quite easy. So I've had someone say, oh, I didn't want to do the application because I don't have hours to spend on an application. It's about a 5-minute application. It's not designed to keep you out. We want you in the program because we want more people learning and working about this and working on this. And there's a question, do you think you'll need financial assistance? And if you say yes, it's how much assistance do you need? And it's a percentage. And I just encourage you, if that is really what's holding you back from taking the course, put in there what you need. We aren't able to offer 100% scholarships, so I'll just name that up front, but we can help with a lot for a lot of folks. A lot of people get scholarships to come through our program. Yeah. Hey, it's been an hour. I've kept you for a while. I appreciate you. If anyone has more questions, happy to stay and talk. But I also don't want anyone to feel obligated to give us more of your time today. So thanks. And thanks, Amarja. Thanks, Claire. I know Claire had to jump, but thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
An hour well spent. Thank you, Greg.
Oh, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Very
It's good to meet you
informative.
too now. I know your son, and now I get to meet his mom. It's very cool. Yeah. And thank you, Amy, Anila, is that right? Anila?
Mhm.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. And my email is just Greg, Greg, at Terra.do. If you have a follow-up question or if you want to schedule a one-on-one chat, hit me up. I'm here. I am going to take a little time off over the holidays, but otherwise I'm here a lot. Full time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. This has been really helpful.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Take care, all. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Wish you all the best.
And again, thank you, Amarja. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.